Greetings. I'm your host, Toyin Umesiri, author of Mindset of an Entrepreneur. I'm so happy to have you join us today. What I'm going to bring you today is what I call emotional processing for entrepreneurs. Okay? I'm going to go a little bit technical with you today because part of the resources that I provide my students, they call me Coach Toyin, um, is what I call emotional intelligence toolkits for entrepreneurs. Because emotions drive what you believe, it drives your mindset, it also drives behavior, and behavior is what creates results and impacts in the world. And so every entrepreneur must, if you want to be successful, you must actually expand on your understanding of what emotions are. Emotions is what you're going to sell, it's what you're going to brand, it's how you communicate, it's what you're going to market, it's what you're going to sell. Emotions is what drives transaction. And so, not knowing anything about emotions makes people struggle more than they ought to. So, I'm going to help you unpack a few things today that will be a game changer for helping you achieve results. So, first thing is understanding emotions as a whole. You see, our physical world, your physical body, humans, okay, in the physical world, we are made up of cells. You carry millions and millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of cells organized, right? So the organs of the body, the cells of the body, and they carry different functions. They carry out different functions. You have the nerves, right? You have those things. This is part of our makeup. And emotion, the definition is energy in motion. But I go deeper into helping people understand that this is the type of energy you fuel your cells with. How you feed your cells, how you activate your cells, how you reward your cells. Okay? Is emotions because they are created by the hormones produced by our endocrine system. And they are stimulated and triggered by central nervous system behavior, the things we're doing, your desires, on and on. And so the actions we're taking, so for example, when you're scrolling on social media or when you're watching a movie, the information that is coming at you, okay, and the energetic vibration, how it makes you feel, how you experience that information releases hormones. And this is how you experience life. Emotions is how all humans experience life. This is the production, what is produced within us as we process information. And so, in business, how you communicate, what you share, okay, the information you transfer to the world, what you tell people, the stories you tell people, the information you transfer, the message you are carrying to the world has an emotional imprint on those who listen. And you can get better at producing higher level emotions for people because that's where attraction, wealth, health lives in. So this is quite deep. This is most advanced training that I provide. So when you understand that what we call emotion is really the physiological expression of the chemicals we are producing because of the information we are processing, right? I always say people want to handle relationship as logic, but your logic must be based on this knowledge. If it is based on ignorance of this knowledge, many people get frustrated. Oh, why is this person doing this? Why are they not buying? Why are they not clicking? Why are they not taking action? People take action for emotional reasons, okay? For the way you make them feel, for what they experience when they process the information you're presenting to them, when they think about what your message means to their life, to their world. The meaning we give words and information is what generates emotions within us. This is how we say, does this feel right? Does it sit right with us? Is it once it's digested, when it lands at the soul level, what people feel, what you believe decides what action they will take. If they will take an action to say, I want more of this feeling, I want more of these emotions, or, whoa, that's too much, I'm done, I'm satisfied, and people walk away. So emotional intelligence allows you to understand the effect you're having on yourself and the world, because part of what also draws humans together is it's not just the information you're presenting that is coming out of you, it's also the information you're carrying within you. It's exposed energetically in the fourth dimension. We all try to understand people, not just at the surface level, but we are seekers of trying to get into people's minds. People want to read you, read your mind, read your heart, not just the physical, but we all always want to understand, who is this person? What do they believe? What's driving their behavior, their thoughts, their action? Because out of that, we can decide, is this person good for us or not? Because when we believe you're good for us, then, oh, yes, you're safe. That's what safety, psychological safety, emotional safety is. Now, what I also teach my students is that the science of emotions is that our energy, when you eat food, you take in energy, you store energy. When you are doing things, you're consuming energy. You're feeding your cells to keep on doing things for you. And that's emotion. Depending on what you're doing, the emotional production, the hormones, is used to match. There's a match that nature has put. Is that when you're doing positive things, you get positive emotions. When you're doing not so good things, listen, nature doesn't want you doing negative things. And so it causes a lot of dysregulation. Lower vibration experiences bring pain and disturbance to our system. So how do you raise your own emotions into positivity? Because that's what you will naturally transfer. What you're experiencing, you transfer to the world. One of the ways of working on this is your stories, the stories you're processing. Are they good for you? Are they good for other people? Do you believe positive things about the world? Do you believe positive things about your clients? Do you believe positive things about the future? Do you have a positive message for the world? Are you carrying positivity around the world? Because that's your attraction. That's your belief is your attraction, because when I connect this, what I'm sharing today, and I then use it to teach my students on lead generation, on customer journey mapping, on using design thinking framework, part of sales is you leading your prospect on a journey that takes them to a destination that they desire, a destination they cannot achieve by themselves, that they're struggling to achieve. When you have an understanding of the way, you have a story that lets them know, that signals to them that you have the ability to lead them to that destination, right? The story you're going to tell about the future you want to lead them to with your product and services, that generates what that story generates in them. If it generates belief, then there's attraction, there's attachment, and then people are invested in that story. Because once people are invested in your story, that's what drives sales. We buy your story first before money changes hands, before a transaction. The transaction is to buy the future that you are promised. That's your promissory note, right? Because when people buy a product and service, it's for the promise of what that product and service can deliver. That's what we're buying. We're buying belief that what I've acquired is going to do me well. What I'm acquiring is going to produce the results I desire. That is a psychological story that activates beliefs emotionally. So you need to work on that. Let me also share 5 things just to think about now. Emotion, right, is what attracts everything you want. It attracts people, it attracts things. Money, when we talk about money, when I teach you the concept of money, it rides on emotion. The currency that moves money around the world is emotions. How humans pass things around. Who we decide to do business with, people we know, like, and trust. We know them, we like them, we trust them. These are all built on energetics and emotional experiences generated when people interact with other people. When you interact with other people, if your experience is pleasurable, you store it in your memory bank, you remember. Remembering is the impact. And then when we want more of that, now the mind knows where to get it. So emotion is the current on which we attract people, we attract things because people have things. This is really what drives the physical world as well. But many people may not know, but now you do. So one of the things, number two, I want you to now start working on what I call audit your emotions. Because you have an emotional bank, your emotional bank account, and you're also depositing emotions in your relationships, right? When you create content, when you share thoughts, when you post on social media, think about it that you're depositing energetic currency, you're investing in the emotional banks of other people. And so, what are you passing on? So, I want you to audit that. Think about how people experience you when you talk, when we share information. Because when we as energetic beings, when we are processing information, that process creates chemical reactivity. And those chemicals have biological implication. That's what living organisms are. Non-living organisms don't have that same effect. Atoms, protons, neutrons, right? They don't have the high reactivity that humans have. Now, they do have reactivity, but without biological implication. So if you have wood, you can burn wood, chemical reactivity happens, right? Metals can oxidize. That's chemical reactivity. They change states. When you boil water, it can change state. The difference between living organisms is that that chemical reactivity then has biological implications on the living cells. So, human relationships is tied to the information you're processing, the stories you're presenting, how people experience you, the chemical composition, hormones produced in people. This is also how we fall in love. This is what drives attachment theory. This is how we form meaning. This is how we bond. This is how relationship is established. And business is also part of relationship with clients and customers, is that the bond is emotional bond, right? How you make people feel. So audit your emotions and make sure they are positive, right? So that you are attracting the type of people you want to attract, because in the emotional frequency world, I'm going a little bit more technical, like attracts like. People who like your emotional disposition, who you are emotionally, they are drawn to you, they are attracted to you, and they want to do life and form community with you. And people who don't like you for whatever reason, their own story is not aligned with your story, this is how we part ways. This is how we come together, and this is how we part ways as well. Agreements of the stories that we're processing, the information we're processing, how those stories make us feel, what we believe, okay, what they make us believe, and then what they do to our cellular nature. If they make us feel well, if you feel safe around those people, if your story makes people safe, you attract people. So crafting positive story is one of the secrets of success. Number 3, determine what emotions and behavior you want to keep. What I mean is, there's a process in my school where I challenge my students to do more emotional processing, because we have carryover emotions from our childhood that may not be serving us well. They've created behavior in us and beliefs in us that they are now old stories that we need to complete, finish, let go of. And when you want to live a new life, when you want to create a new life, so for example, somebody that is single wants to become married, you have to close a chapter of your reality. Your single life is a story you have to, close off and say, you know what, thank you, bid you farewell, I'm opening a new life. And so the behavior, you have to add on new behavior. There's some behaviors you need to stop. The freedom of doing anything you want to do, anytime you want to, going everywhere, nightclub, whatever. Well, now you're accountable to somebody who will question that behavior. And you now need to develop new expectation, now requires you to develop new behaviors. So we have to become a different person. Also, if you're going from employee to entrepreneur, there are some behaviors you need to close out. In my book, Mindset of an Entrepreneur, there are some skills that are not going to help you, that helped you earn a salary. But if you bring it into entrepreneurship, they're not going to work. And entrepreneurship also challenges you to develop new beliefs, new behaviors, new mindset, right? New capacity, new skills to power the new life. So that transition, not many people make that transition, because it requires letting go of the past and embracing a new future and stepping forward courageously. It takes faith to leap forward. So think about what you're going to toss, let go of, what you're going to keep, and what you're going to continue doing, and what you need to develop, which is where new training comes in for the entrepreneur. And we do that in my school. Also, when it ties to money, there's a whole lot of work in terms of what stories you're carrying around about money. Are you chasing it and you're spending energy, and you've developed an energy of pursuing money? Or have you developed an energetic belief that money is easy, money comes, right? So that affects the success of a business. And then finally, one of the journey I also take my students on is to then use this knowledge when it comes to your branding, the message you're presenting, the information about who are you, what stories do you carry, your marketing, how you're going to continue to invest to help people believe more in your brand, in your products, in your services, in your company, in your journey. And then sales. Sales is tied to the transaction, the exchange of what you can do for them with what they need. So I'm going to stop right there for today. Thank you so much for joining me. If you want to download more resources, head over to my website, toyinumesiri.com. And there's a lot of resources and training you can subject yourself to that helps you learn more about emotions and feelings, because life in the third dimension is built on how you make people experience you. So thank you so much for joining me today on this episode of Quantum Leap. I'm your host, Toyin Umesiri, author of Mindset of an Entrepreneur. And feel free to call me Coach Toyin. I really appreciate this opportunity to share this information with you. See you again next week. Bye for now.